Hi, this is JP Raw, show number 203 on November 7th, 2017. And tonight, Tim's going to be coming, I think, a little late. So for at least the first part, it's just AD and I. And AD is coming back with some news on Luminar and some of his recent travels. AD, how you doing?
Hey, good, man. Good to see you again. It seems like it's been like, I don't know, 3 weeks or something since we talked last. I think it has been, actually. So,
yep, you've been busy since then.
Yeah, I've been to two insane asylums in Virginia, West Virginia, excuse me, and another insane asylum in Photo Plus 2017 in New York City, which was amazing.
Yeah. So have you been to that Photo Plus before up in New York?
This was, you know, the term, like, if you're going to learn to swim, they throw you in the lake, you'll either sink or swim. This was my very first PPE, and I was not only there to work for MacFun / Skyloom, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but I was also a presenter. So they just threw me into the fire and went, go. So it was different. Now,
when you say work, did y'all have like a booth where people could come by and experience and see the software, or what'd y'all do?
Yeah, so we had a booth set up, and I apologize. I do have some photos. They're all on my phone, actually, that I took. And if you go to the MacFun webpage, there are some photos down through there. There's even some 360 videos that I did in the booth of us working there and doing our thing. And we had two machines set up. Of course, we're PC and we're Mac now. So we had a Windows machine set up there and a Mac set up. And then we had guest speakers for the 3 days, and just absolutely amazing guests that came in. Nicole S. Young, I think you know who she is.
Yep.
And, we had Karen Hutton there, and it was excellent, man. Just such a good time with amazing people. And just the technology was nuts. I mean, it was ridiculous. I got to get, of course, obviously I'm a Sony guy, but Sony and Nikon and Canon all were doing free cleanings and free repairs at PPE for people who brought their cameras. It was sweet. I got my camera cleaned. It was great. So
very good, very good. And out in chat, I think Matt was still making fun of me because I misspelled Luminar somewhere, and maybe it's in another place. So if I misspelled it, just write that up as I can't say names properly, and apparently I can't spell them properly either. I will try and correct them all. I'll try and correct them all after the show.
Yeah, we'll get you by the end of the show, buddy. Don't worry.
Well, I've been running the beta version of Luminar for Windows, and I think we looked at it before, and I tried to do a little demo of it when I downloaded it live and do all that kind of stuff, and it was fairly easy to use. But the beta version didn't have all the features in it. So now the release that they're doing now is going to be a full featured product. Is that right?
Yeah, so I do have the very latest version of the PC version of Luminar 2018, and the sun rays filters and all of the extra filters that were missing are there now. There's still a few things like workspaces, I believe, and again, we have a support group called Skyloom Support over on Facebook. You can find the group where you can ask all your questions before you pre-order. I highly encourage anybody who's looking to pre-order for Windows, go ask questions first. They can answer them for you. There are a few key things I know. They want to work towards parity between the two editions by the end of the year. So they don't want to use the term cross-platform because they're two completely different programs. They're being handled by different teams. Essentially, what they want to do is get both with the same features in it by the end of the year. So you won't see any new features after this, I don't believe, in Luminar 2018 for the Mac because it's kind of already feature rich and ready to go. There'll be if there's any updates, it'll be for bugs. So that basically, the OS comes out and it changes something or whatever. Mm-hmm. There'll be updates for that, but you won't see any new features, I don't believe, by the end of the year. On the Windows version, though, you're going to see probably multiple updates because they're going to try to put in these last few features that they're still working on. And the reason is, a lot of people ask me, they're like, well, why are they releasing it? Well, first of all, they're really excited to be in the Windows world, in the Windows platform. But you guys got to keep in mind, development on an Apple product to go, especially for anything that has to do with photos or anything that has to do with video, product development is pretty much a super highway from your dev points of view to your end product. You have basically one set of hardware that you're really working on, and the programming is kind of set up to work. On the Windows environment, you have everybody in the world building their own machines with millions of different things. You got thousands of different versions of Windows. I mean, essentially, it's like a switchback mountain road with landmines on it. That's what they have to produce on, and so they're doing the best they can, and they're super excited to get out what they have. And the thing that I can tell you about this team of people is that they want to hear from the users. You got to go to the right place. The Skyloom support group on Facebook is it right now. If you want direct contact with the tech people, you want to get your the ideas that you have in your head that you'd like to see in the software, those are the people to talk to. And if they're going to take it further, like if they want to see things from you, they'll give you a special email, and they'll hand you off, and you'll be able to talk with somebody on that too as well.
You keep saying Skyloom. Can we talk about that for a second? And
yes,
that's a new term for me, and another opportunity to misspell. But and apparently I didn't misspell Luminar that time. I misspelled actual Windows.
Oh man, Mike!
Forgot the
you know
I.
what it is, buddy? You work too hard is your problem. And somebody was asking me today. Somebody was asking me today about November. I won't say who, but you know who.
Jay
was asking. I didn't say it, but anyway,
it's coming.
So Jay said to me, he says, "I'm stuck in a hotel room tonight." He goes, "It was either this or I just like email you from my hotel room and just tell you what I'm doing all night." So he goes, "I'm a little bit punchy." So he's been posting, he's been ribbing me all day. And he said, it's fun. What's wrong with that Mike guy? You know, he's like, he has these contests, but then they're not running when I expect them to be and all this stuff. So
there's a slight delay at the beginning of the month. I'm a few days behind.
Yeah, don't listen to that guy. Anyway,
I'm used to the Luminar name, and now you keep throwing out the Skyloom name.
Right.
What is that?
I'll hold it up to the screen. I don't know if you can see my little official pin there. It probably won't focus.
When you head it back a little further, I could see it. There, right there.
In the light, just right there. It is.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see all that. That's going to get passed around. We announced it at PPE, so that's Photo Plus Expo. We kind of surprised everybody. Had a big, huge flying banner, the whole 9 yards. So the idea is, it's a little tough to call yourself Mac Fun when you're not developing just for the Mac anymore. Yep. And the whole idea is Aurora HDR is our other product that we sell. And then you have our secondary product or first product, whatever you want to call it, Luminar 2018. Those are our two flagship tools that we have right now. Aurora, Sky, Luminar, Loom, Skyloom. And the name is pretty much, they don't want to be like us as Mac Fun Software anymore. That's secondary. Like, this is just a company name.
Yeah.
We want to be known for Luminar and Aurora. That's what it's like, Photoshop and Lightroom. There, I said it. Mm-hmm. I've been putting it in my vocabulary not to say the P and L word anymore, because I personally, and I've been talking about this all week, am just waiting for the day that I no longer have to use either one of those pieces of software.
So what is the thing that's gonna say, make AD say, today is the day. I now have what I need to move.
Right. So they announced at PPE that the digital asset management will be coming in 2018. And for anybody who's an Luminar 2018 owner who purchases it now and has it, will get that update for free. So their goal is basically to make a better product than Lightroom. That's really, I'm not official from the company, but I'm telling you, they're gunning for it, man. So
Awesome. So and that's the big thing that a lot of people use Lightroom for, and then moved on to the editing was the asset management, your photos, a library for your photos.
Right. And what I'm hoping that they're going to do, and I've had people ask me about this, is a lot of people are concerned with metered network right now because a lot of these ISPs, thanks for the net neutrality going to hell, we're now getting our connects metered. I don't know what it's going to do for me. I upload 4K files all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to provide content for people anymore because I can't afford it.
And it kills the opportunity to back up, to do backups online.
Absolutely, right? Because if I got to pay a cloud service and I got to pay for the Connect itself, I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyway, with that concern that's out there, what I think people want to have is be able to put their files in one place and be able to work on them on multiple machines, which means that they want to be able to carry sidecar files around with them and be able to work on these files just by loading them up and saying, pointing towards my local hard drive for my actual photo, and then keep all of the actual editing stuff in a central zone. I don't know if that's what they're going to do or not. I know they've mentioned, cloud storage. You'll be able to store your photos on cloud if you want to, but you'll also have a local storage as well, which I think is, utmost importance. And I think even beyond that, no subscription ever.
Yeah.
So you buy it, you own it. There are incremental updates that we do charge for. So when we go to a major update, like from Luminar 2017 to Luminar 2018, there was a whole feature set plus the digital asset management that goes with that. They charge you an upgrade price. So once you're in the family, it's about half price for the upgrade, which I think is a decent deal. I don't mind paying it because I know it's going to the developers who are making, continuing to make the product better and better and better.
And, I think that's what we were used to back in the day when you had Photoshop. Well, you didn't have Creative Cloud. You bought the product and then you paid for the big updates. Hey, if you can hold on 1 second, Tim is available now. So let's see.
Bring him on in here.
Let's see if I can get him in here. Things are going to get a little herky-jerky in using technical terms as I add Tim to the group here.
Hey-o. I see Tim coming in.
Let's see what's going to happen here.
I have to accept him, which I did. Tim, you've been accepted, my friend.
Very good, very good.
We have a major problem here. Hold on.
In the minute I connected to Tim, I get the yellow bars. It's all his fault. I knew it.
There it is. But what you
got going on there?
Well, Skype has changed something here.
Uh-oh.
Imagine that. My Skype screen looks so weird.
There we go. Let's go to that. All right. I think. Well, and Tim froze.
Mav, you better be careful, man. In times of trouble, you might get a timeout if you keep up with that stuff.
We will leave Tim with that look.
All right, that's good.
As we wait for Tim to come back in.
He's so baffled by the technology that we brought tonight that Tim is frozen in time.
He dropped.
He dropped. All right. Well, fine, Tim. Don't join us. Don't join the. I do the same thing when I'm doing my live broadcast for Facebook Live on MacFun. So I do the same setup you do, and I have them send me Skype, which is why I really want to get away from Skype real bad because it does this wacky stuff, and they make these changes. And
there we go.
Then I'm kind of. We'll
fix it like that.
I'm inflated. Oh, no, I was inflated for a minute.
Yeah, that's craziness. Yeah. Skype has had a problem. So we're waiting for Tim again.
It's a live show, folks.
Yeah, we had a great cut there where we could have paused, but now I forgot what we were talking about. I think, we were talking about how back in the day before you had Creative Cloud, that's how you would upgrade. You would buy the product. They would have a major upgrade to go from version 2 to version 3 or whatever it was. And you could skip it. You didn't have to go from 2 to 3. You could wait till 4 came out and did that. But either way, when you bought 3 or when you bought 4, you had to pay for that upgrade. Those were always paid upgrades for people at a reduced price from the original price. So is that what MacFun is or Luminar is going to do in the future is, when they go from version whatever to version whatever, that will be a paid upgrade at something different from the original price?
Yeah, so we're always looking to expand the family and get more people involved. Our Facebook group alone has grown by 600 people this week. So it's really the word's getting out there. A lot of the PC folks are coming in, which is great. And, I can't wait for the whole PC Mac battles that are going to go on. Hopefully we can just be a happy community of photographers and not really care. I kind of have to be a mediator because I have both in the same room.
Yeah.
I know, guys, and I'm not catching on fire right now, which is amazing.
You haven't been struck down.
No, I haven't. In fact, that's a Mac screen right there, and this is a PC screen that I'm on. And so far, knock on wood, so far so good. Although Tim can't get in the group, I'm not sure why that is.
What's going on there?
But yeah, and so that's the thing is that. I think that they want to. They give a little bit of an incentive. They usually knock $10 off when they do a new release for brand new customers, and they also give a deal to the upgrade customers as well. So at the show, we were doing a special deal, for everybody there, and they gave away 3 Mavic Pros, which was amazing. Just they made people wear these buttons, and then they went out on the floor and they found them on the button and just walked up and handed them a Mavic. Like, there you go. And people were just like, "What?"
I think the timing is perfect with with Adobe taking Lightroom out of being able to buy it, the perpetual license, and now where you have to buy it through Creative Cloud. The timing for MacFun to do this with Luminar is perfect. And we're talking about it here, but you're gonna demo it in a minute here too. And I want to do a couple of call outs while we wait for transition. So we have 3 places you can watch this live, although one of the places no one's at. That's our jpegtoraw.com/live. So most people are either on Facebook or on YouTube, and I'm pointing up because that's where that screen is. I got Jan, Mav fan, who's been helping me with my spelling.
Yes, Mav fan. Good
Gary
job,
and Jordan and Rich, and Christina. So we have a number of people over there. If I miss your name, sorry, I'll try and get you later. Over in Facebook, Timothy Foster, Lewis, Gustav, I think is how you say that.
Gustavo, yeah. He's got a question I want to answer too when you get done, Mike.
Go ahead. I'm ready for you to go ahead.
Yeah. So Gustavo, you ask Aurora or Luminar because you're brand new to these products. So Aurora is HDR based processing only. So if you're shooting brackets, then you're going to want Aurora. If you're asking, I've been telling folks, if you're asking Aurora or Luminar and you're not sure and you're new, I would buy Luminar first. Luminar is a photo editor, kind of like Lightroom. I'm going to show you some really cool stuff when we demo on how you can transition to this software quite easily because you can actually make it mimic Lightroom quite easily. So it's a very simple interface to just kind of port yourself over. I know my hardest thing is when I'm trying to move my workflow is getting used to where everything's located and dealing with. And Luminar is cool because you can set up your own workspace, which is really awesome. So I would suggest Luminar if you've never had any of our products first. And then once you get familiar with Luminar, if you feel you need to stretch your wings with HDR and you want to shoot some HDR and learn HDR, then you're going to want Aurora as an add-on product because there are things that you can do in Luminar you can't do in Aurora, but you can't do brackets in Luminar. And they're never going to be putting those two together simply because the engine is a lot different between the two, and combining them would just bog one of them down or both of them down if you tried to combine them. So yeah, they'll stay separate, but they're both their own thing. I use them both. So,
Yeah. Tim Kimperly, if you'll hold on for a second till we have an opportunity after bringing you back in. Timothy Foster on Facebook asks, is there tethering with Luminar?
There is not tethering yet, but when the digital asset manager thing comes along, that may be there. I have heard tell that on a Mac right now, I guess you can tether through Apple Photos or something. I've never done it, have no idea. Again, Skyloom support are the guys to ask because it's just something I don't have the experience in. If it's not in there, they're always looking for what people want. And I think we've been harping, they have kind of a core of professionals that are working with them and kind of testing the program and really stretching its legs and saying, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. And there's a few things that are on the table that we're asking for. And one of the big ones is that don't take away anything from another program if you want us to move to your program. That's always the thing, is I hate to give up even one little feature that I rely on. It keeps me tied to that program. So if they want me to move, they pretty much can't, not have those features, right? So I think their overall goal is to have all of those features, only have them work better and faster than what you're used to, and with no subscription fee. So, and I'm not officially from the company, so I'm a subcontractor for them. They pay me to do tutorials and that sort of stuff. I'm actually here tonight just because I'm a friend of Mike's, and
we do another show together. Yeah.
Yes, and I have show content, so
yes, absolutely,
we have something to talk about.
and I'm going to try and get Tim Kimperly back in, but I'll say this as another comment out on Facebook from Timothy Foster is been using Lightroom and it's unreliable, so I'm on the fence about what to use for tethering. All right, Tim, I'm going to try and bring you in. Add to group.
Tim, I am right there with you. In fact, today, while I was setting up a webinar that I was doing on Luminar, I had to use Lightroom to export some photos. And it's just another moment where I'm screaming at my screen because Lightroom all of a sudden turns the whole screen black and it just sits there for like 40 seconds. And I'm like, what kind of professional program does that? I can understand something crashing and you have to reload it. I know that's going to happen once in a while.
Right.
That's just operating system not handling things properly or something. But this is just ridiculous. And Lightroom's had these problems since when was it? When they introduced Lightroom 5, I think, or 4. Whenever they did an engine change back in 2012 or 13, and it's just been, it's faster and it's this and that, and and it's really buggy. So I'm over it.
Yep. All right. Do you want to talk about your trip, or do you want to go right into the Luminar demo? What do you want to do first?
Well, I figured we'd do the Luminar demo here in just a second. I wanted to show something to you guys now that Tim's here.
Now Tim's here. I've been waiting for Tim to come in.
Hopefully I don't lose power this time.
So Tim, while I was at PPE in New York City, I got to play with the A7R III.
Okay.
And I also played with some other cameras. Guys, I didn't just play with the Sony stuff. It was difficult to get in there and get my hands on. But let me tell you, man, 120 hertz EV electronic viewfinder, I couldn't tell it wasn't optical, first of all. It was instant, so much better than the A7R2, ridiculous. And then I got to see firsthand the 169 megapixel photos that it can take.
What?
That blew my mind. Yes. So let me tell you about some new technology that Sony snuck under the wire. They did the same thing to Nikon before that they did before with the A7 that they did this time. Same sensor as the 850, but they've added their own technology called sensor shift. So it has optical stabilization on the sensor. It's amazing. So it essentially has amazing 5-axis optical stabilization built in on the sensor. And then it has a special mode when you take a photo called pixel shift, and it can shift the sensor so minutely by one single pixel for 4 shots, effectively combining 4 shots into one 169 megapixel image.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Now you have to be on a tripod and completely locked down?
No, because it's like just like you're taking a regular photo. It's ridiculous. So what they do is they have a red, green, and blue pixel, and what all sensors do is each one of the red, green, and blue pixels is in a square of 8 or 9. I think it's 9, and each of the matrix flips around to take each shot. So when a normal system shoots, normal camera shoots, it fires off those sensors for green, red, and blue, right?
Yeah.
And then that image is your raw data. And they're a matrix, so each dot is in a different position. So that's how it makes up your photo. Sony figured out that you make a pattern of dots and then shift the sensor, and then the next pattern lays in right on top of it, and the next pattern fills, and then you have a solid fat pixel of those colors instead of stuff that has to be taken all at once. It's the technology is mind-bending, and the fact that it can move the sensor just that much. But the photo that they showed was of this, it was like a 50 millimeter shot of a screen that was wrapping around the edge of this thing. So they had the moire pattern and they took it without the pixel shift, and then they took it with the pixel shift. And it went from this unclear kind of jumbly picture with a normal camera to this perfectly like no moire. You could see every line of the screening. It was amazing. So yeah, it's a camera in 10 FPS on top of that.
Not in 160 meg.
Yes. No, not that's right. But 10 FPS at 42, 46, whatever the megapixels.
But you're not going to be taking that type of picture
right.
of
no, I'm going to go take swim photos with that.
Right.
Yeah, they're what size file is that then? That's got to be.
Yeah, it was around. So it uses their own proprietary software to blend the image together into the super large raw file that you get out of it. And I believe it's probably going to be in the 200 megabyte or something.
I was going to say,
I didn't get to see files. I can't even imagine, but I got to believe that if you're going to work with one of those files that, I'm going to be showing you something tonight too. I've actually got a file I'm going to do live that's 500 megabytes.
Jeez.
And I'm going to show you the speed of Luminar on just a laptop with a 500 megabyte file. So, but the thing that I saw besides all of that, I actually went into the Sony booth and blew the Sony booth guys away with a product that isn't even a Sony product. I ran around shooting my Olympus lenses all weekend at the show, and I got a lot of heads turning because I wasn't manually focusing.
Oh, on your Sony.
I was auto-focusing my 35 millimeter film lenses. Wow. So I want to share my screen. I want to show you. Mike knows I have this set up. We'll get it going here, and then we'll jump into Luminar and do all that. But this is pretty cool. I wanted to share it with you guys. Mike, I know that you don't have a Sony here.
I do not. No, I'm the odd man out. I got the Nikon.
Yeah. So I got my camera set up, and as you can see, this guy right here. So I turn away from the microphone. Yeah. This is the little monster right here. And I'm going to just hit the shutter button here, and you'll watch what it does. Now, it's going to be a little slow because do we
want to make that full screen? I'm still seeing you.
You're seeing me.
Maybe. Can I do it? Yeah. Okay. I got it. I can do it on my end. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. I got it.
I got it.
Mike
has the technology.
I cannot do anything more. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
I can see your camera and the little dude.
Okay, camera and little dudes. All right, so if I point around on this, I think you can see my pointer now. Yep. Can you see my pointer?
Yes, I can.
All right, cool. Glad something's working out. So this little guy right here, that's it's a Photodiox Pronto, and it is it goes from a Sony NEX mount to a Leica mount. So it's a bayonet style. And then whatever vintage lens you have, you just get these little adapters that go from Leica mount to this is OM, which is the Olympus. So I have one for I've got one here for Minolta. I've got one for let's see, my Helios lens, which is like a screw lens. But when you do this, I'm going to just move my focus point here. Now, I wanted to tell you that the little guys that you're seeing are going through an HDMI converter and an Elgato Stream Deck, which is right here. You can kind of see my hand moving around, but those plugs that go in there, this is a slow thing. So you're going to see the lens move, and then you're going to see the screen move. Mm-hmm. I want you just to make believe they're both at the same time because they really are. But I wanted to show you the speed of this. So I'm just going to focus. I've changed my focus point to the little Pip-Boy there. It's in the front. So ready? Watch this. Yep. That was it right there. So super fast.
Yeah, that was really close. Yeah.
Yeah, and accurate. And that's the thing. This is a 35 millimeter lens. So if you just watch one or the other, you get an idea.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all it does is it moves the lens in and out and will change the focus. So I can change the focus point. It's behind me by one step. But anyways, you can kind of get an idea there. Focus on the end of the gun, around his head or whatever. And so
the lens itself isn't focusing. It is just moving the lens in and out to change the focal plane.
Correct. Absolutely.
That's interesting.
Yep, and there's two little drive motors in the bottom of this thing that are down here on the bottom where my finger's at. You can't quite see them, but there's two motors down there that drive the whole lens piece in and out. And they've made it so there's no light leaks in it, and it's great. It works better with like wider angle lenses like my 28s and my 24s, but I actually was running around with a 35 to 105, and as long as I got the focus close with the lens and then just let go of it and started using the button, it focused perfectly every time. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Now I couldn't hear it when it was running. Is it quiet or?
Yeah. Let me just do this. Let me do this. Hold on 1 second. Turn that. And I'm going to pull this off here. So I'll put it up next to my mic so you can hear it. We got battery.
Hold on.
There. Here we go. All right. Whoa. What's going on there? I'm looking at all the other screens. All right. Ready? This is it working. Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah. That's not loud.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
So it's just a wee.
And that's right, and that's right up against the microphone. So from a couple feet away, you're not hearing that.
Yep. So pretty cool. Anyway, I'm going to put that down while making people dizzy. And sorry about that, folks. You're getting it all tonight. So yeah. So there we go. I just wanted to show that to you guys. That was my product find. I'm going to be doing a full review of that on my website, of course. And I'll have some sample images, and I'll show, basically some videos on the speed a little bit better to handle.
You two flip positions.
We did?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but when you came back, y'all were on opposite sides of the screen.
Yep. It's Skype and its wonders. I'm going to share my screen again when we start this demo.
You guys are testing me tonight.
Still like that vMix, huh?
That wasn't vMix. That was Skype. I was able to, with vMix, I was able to flip it around. Okay. Yeah, that was really cool. Not a lot of noise, like you said. Now,
yeah,
I don't really have any vintage lenses, but if you come across some vintage lenses, one that may be cheaper, or two, if you inherit them. I had inherited some glass from my father-in-law back, when he gave me his Nikon gear. Mm-hmm. So I have some of that. What those motors and that stuff that you got, is that available for things other than Sony?
Nope.
Oh. Dang Sony.
Sorry, man. We're gonna convert you, Mike, one of these days, man.
Yes. Sony is slowly taking over.
They are moving up the charts.
That A7R3, that's slightly over $3,000, right? Just for the body.
It's $3,000 for the body alone. Yeah. But I'm telling you what, man, it's ridiculous. I mean, the features are just ridiculous. And I want to shoot with the stuff that I shoot. So we're talking about where I just got back from, which was an old asylum. I'm actually leaving this week again to go back and shoot more at this place to be locked in for another 8 hours or whatever. And I just would love to see the detail in a 169 megapixel photo. I mean, amazing.
When you say locked in, did someone actually lock you in there?
Yeah, so we pay for a commercial license to go in and shoot at this place, and they give us unrestricted access to all areas that the public kind of doesn't get to see, and they essentially open the doors, and we're in there for 8 hours by ourselves. Yeah. Lots of fun.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I'm glad, Tim, you were able to come here and see that. That was cool. Just showing this from a technical standpoint, just showing the screen and seeing the focus point and it doing all that was super cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Glad it works.
Eddie, you have all the toys, that's for sure.
He does.
Yeah. I don't get to keep a lot of them, though. I can't keep this one. I got to give it back when I'm done with my review. And I told the guy when I saw him down at at PPE, I said, "Hey, I got a feeling I'm not sending it back, so I'm letting you know at the show. You're probably going to have to chase me down to get it." And he goes, "Well, you know how much it costs, so just send me the check." And I'm like, "All right, okay." So,
How much? I guess we got to ask that question. How much is it?
I think the retail on it's like $329.
That's really not that. If you have a lot of lenses, that really wouldn't be that expensive.
Yeah.
So I paid for the Sony one for my alpha lenses, so I could use my alpha lenses, which I don't have any of them anymore. I sold all that stuff, but I paid $399 for that. So,
Yeah.
And it just did alpha lenses. This, for God's sakes, does everything. So, and yeah, it's the tech art is similar. There was some talk about whether they're the same or whether they aren't. I have looked closely at both of them, Mav, and they are different. And their mechanism, though, I mean, I think it's one of those things where someone thought up the idea and it got out and there's no real patent on it because it was just manufactured and they're coming out of China anyway. That's, that's where you're going to get that stuff. So, yeah, there are a couple other companies that make them. I have, over the years, purchased my adapters from Photodiox, and they've all been good and well made. So I kind of was like not going to go with another company to save $10 because I think they're $10 difference. I'm just going to stick with the company that that I've gotten good products from, and I know that I can go to them and say, "Hey, man, if something doesn't work, send me a new one or fix it," and they will. So. Yeah,
it's all you want anyway.
Yep, absolutely. So, you guys want to see this Luminar
We do,
thing?
yes. I want to see it.
Absolutely.
All right. I know we got some folks out there that tuned in, especially
Just to
for
see
this.
it.
I actually announced it today on the Skyloom Photography group when I did my webinar this afternoon.
Awesome.
So let me switch my screen over here, Mike, again, and see if we can screw you up one more time. Here it comes, buddy. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. There we go. And go. Press 2 buttons. Skype.
There we go. Bam. I hit the wrong button, but it still worked.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, you guys are seeing a Mac screen, and the reason for that is, again, parity and loading things. And plus, I'm running all of my streaming stuff right now off my PC. And if I tried to do all this other stuff along with it, I'm afraid that we'd have issues. So I am running this on the Mac side. You guys should be able to see everything. One of the things that I talked about in my webinars this week was the ease of moving into using Luminar instead of those other products that we know about. And some of the new features I'm going to show you tonight, I think, are very convincing. And these will be in the Mac version. All of these will be in the Mac version on November 16th when it's released. And I would say 95% of them will be in the Windows version, with the rest of them coming before the end of the year. I've heard as soon as December. So don't quote me on that, but never fear. They are working super hard on getting this stuff out there. So one of the things I like about Luminar, and I've talked about this over and over, is how easy is any workflow to get the vision of your photos out of your head and onto the screen, because I've learned how to get them from the screen to print. That was a whole thing in itself. Like, how do I get what I see on the screen to be on the, well, you try metal prints, man, or acrylic prints. They look amazing. And what you see on your screen is kind of what you get back in a print. So I kind of solved that, but I didn't solve how to get it out of my head, which is the hardest thing I think we all struggle with, is technology and those hurdles, right?
Right.
So a couple of the things that they made super easy with Luminar is how you get the photos in. You're not going to see me load in Lightroom right now, even though I will show you a little demo with that as well. But what they did is basically tried to make it as easy as possible to get things from your computer, your hard drive or whatever, into the program. So what they really allow you to do is grab the file and just drop it on the icon of the program and let go, and it will load the program, and it will also load the file along with it to get you started. So that's nice. a quick and easy way to get you in.
That.
Yeah, super easy, right? So you can also go about this a couple of different ways, whatever makes you comfortable. Like, say I load the program up and I have that running. You guys can see that. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to just drag this file over into the program, and that works as well. Now, the one mind blower that I've found out is that, and in fact, I don't even know, is that most of the folks that I was working with actually knew this, but if I open up Lightroom If you're still stuck on Lightroom, and which I am, all of us will be, because we're basically there until they come out with something better with Luminar. I can grab a photo from here and drop it there, and it'll actually load. But I can't do it while there's another photo actually already loaded. So let me show you what it looks like if I close this. Hello, where am I? Lightroom. Oh, Apple, I love you. So we'll just close that out. So, and then I'll just open a Luminar window, which is actually still open in the background. So I just grab a photo and drop it onto the Luminar window from Lightroom, and boom, it loads right up. So those are
cool.
like some nice features. And if you have, let's get rid of the memory hog over there. Let's get rid of him. And we'll let that's loading a raw file right now. So I'm going to show you though, just because you can't do it from Windows doesn't mean that you can't do it from someplace else. So you can do it from here, I believe. Whoops. I'm dragging off the edge of the screen. Sorry, guys. I can drag it over to Luminar over here, and it'll open up another instance of Luminar and keep those separate from each other. So you can work on 2 photos at once, shrink one down, work on the other one, then call it back when you're ready to go. However you want to do that. And that's availability will be there in Windows as well. So making it easy, right, for us to understand and work on photos. Let's get rid of that file. Let's see if I can do this. All right, I can do it. Here we go. Close. There we go. All right. I'm getting used to the Mac ecosystem here. All right, so I've got a raw file loaded up here. I'm going to make it full screen so you guys aren't distracted by anything. So we've got it full screen. And you'll notice over here on the side, it's got the histogram, but it doesn't really look too much like that other program that I just had open, that L program. I even hate to say the name anymore.
Just like the S word.
Right, exactly. Just like that S word, Mike. All right, so you'll see here that we have clear workspace, but if I click on that, it'll drop down and it has all these lists of things. Now, these normally you would think might be presets. They are kind of presets, but what they are is workspaces that set up Luminar to be very familiar. And I designed one for raw editing that looks a lot like that other program. I'm going to load that up. And you'll see that I have raw develop, which is brand new. We now have lens profiling, and we also have transform tools, so we can straighten things. We also have all the basic controls that you're used to. I've added one in here, the Accent AI. You guys all know what that does. I'll show that in a minute. Your saturation and vibrance, polarizing filter, that's kind of cool. You can actually use it almost like having a polarizer right there with you. You also have a dehaze filter. You guys all are used to seeing dehaze and what that does, and then a vignette at the bottom. So it's very familiar. So you can start here and not be too in left field for what does what, right? There's I think there's 70 filters or some crazy amount, 45, I don't know. I haven't even counted them. There's so many. But they can be confusing. If I was to load in all those filters, you'd be like, I don't know what that does, and that doesn't make any sense. Just start me at the beginning. So I just designed a basic raw workspace. They actually have some in here like Essentials, which does almost the same thing. I think they're going to change this by the time the release comes out to almost mimic that other program like I did. At least that's going to be my suggestion to them.
You say you develop this thing. What do you mean? You can.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you how I built it.
Yeah.
So let's clear the workspace so we don't have anything. I'm going to open up my filters, and the very first thing I want to add is raw develop. So I'm just going to add these filters over here to this side. Let me just add in there. I don't know why that's doing that. Why are you doing that? Awesome. For some reason, it doesn't like me right now. There we go. All right. Now it's behaving in. All right. Raw develop. No, it's not going to load in the raw develop. And the reason why is because that's a brand new filter, and it actually changes depending on whether or not you have a raw filter or a JPEG or a DNG or whatever loaded up. So let me load up my demo file because I'm not sure that carrying that over from Lightroom was the smart thing to do in a demo. So let me just I have one here for raw dev.
Basically, what you're going to show us here is that you can make your own menu there.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag in just the tools I'm used to, and then I'm going to save it, and then I can call it back at any time, and it'll come back zeroed. So it won't make any adjustments to the image. It'll just come back as a workspace. They kind of brought this over from Adobe Premiere does this. It gives you workspaces in Adobe After Effects so that your tools are in familiar, workable areas, so that you know what you're working on is optimized on the screen, and that's kind of what they're doing here. So let me just bring in filters now, see if I can get this to work. You gonna work for me now? Raw develop. There we go.
There we go.
Okay. So I brought my raw develop in. Next on the list would probably be saturation and vibrance. You can see these are categorized under essentials, issue fixers. I can talk creative, professional, and utility, and they're all kind of sorted out there, so they all kind of make sense. That we're places that we're used to seeing them. So you have your clarity, but that's already in here in the develop. I'm trying to think of what's next. I guess curves would be right. So we have curves, obviously. We have curves we can put in there. We have HSL we can put in there. So, I mean, we could design this to look exactly like the competitor if we want to. Once we're done with that, if we come up to the custom workspaces here where it used to say clear workspace, and then just save it as a new workspace. And I'm just going to call it, JPEG to raw test. All right.
Yeah.
And we'll just save that. And now whatever photo I load in, let's just close this out. I remember how to close files, I think, now. Jeez, telling you guys, don't save. And we'll close all of these out. So we're just going to show that it starts up right from the beginning. So here we go. We're going to load in Luminar. We'll just load their sample image for this just to show. I hate their sample image, by the way, guys. I'm sorry to the person who took this photo, but I would come up with a really awesome image for the sample image. So I just go to the workspaces, and you can see down here the J2R test is there. I click on that. All of those settings come right back, and they're all zeroed out. So even if I make a setting change here, let's just screw this photo up as best we can. There we go. That's definitely
what photo?
Photo. If I clear the workspace, it'll automatically clear all of the presets, thus clearing the photo back out. And then if I load in that workspace that I had loaded, you notice that screw up isn't there anymore because it's just a blank workspace. Yeah. If I want to save any adjustments that I make, that's where you save them as a preset at that point. Okay. So that's what presets do. And I suggest to people, I know the bosses are like, jump in and play with presets. I'm like, I said, I want this program to kind of look exactly like what I'm used to working with. And then I'll play with, right. Because and then you can start playing with presets because there's a million things you can do with presets. And the other thing that I suggest to people who are beginning with Luminar is definitely once you get your toning done on an image, the next thing, people asked me about this today. I said, I'm now going to start to work on coloring the image or changing the colors or doing deeper editing. I'm going to add an adjustment layer. And they're like, whoa. Why are you adding an adjustment layer? Can't you just add the filters? And I'm like, absolutely. But by adding an adjustment layer, I'm not really hurting anything. And I'm keeping track of where I'm at. Yeah. And that's going to be really important because I'm going to show you something that's kind of interesting. Let's get a photo that needs some work though, because I think it's important to actually show what's going on with the photo. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go back to my Luminar images. Where were they? Let's see the one I need here. Let's see. All right, we're going to do the AI filter. Yeah, this one's cool. All right, I'm going to load this into Luminar. So just get that in there. You saw this one's Grand Teton. All right, so this photo definitely needs work. It's too dark in the foreground. The sky is nice and bright, but it could be considered a little hot. So I'm going to load in my raw workspace, just what I did before. And you notice that develop came up and it doesn't say raw anymore next to it. It now says develop.
Right.
You can see up here. And that's because essentially that now is working on a JPEG file. So we're not actually working on a RAW anymore or a TIFF file. So, if you're working on a RAW, it'll actually say RAW because we're working on the raw data, but now we're working on a TIFF file. So I'm going to use one filter. I'm going to kick this in the butt with the AI filter. And one thing I want to make really clear about it, and Rich, that's awesome. Rich just said that Alex, the COO, took the sample photo. That's okay. Alex is cool with that, man. I hung out with him in New York City. He'd be fine with that. He's very cool dude.
He needs some feedback.
Yeah. So essentially, you notice that the foreground got really bright from what it was before. Let's show it before. That's before the AI and then after the AI. But the sky didn't really change all that much. That kind of stayed. It's a pretty decent looking sky. But the important thing here is as I zoom in on this photo, you can see that there isn't a ton of noise that was created by the dark areas.
Right.
And that's because the AI filter is taking care of that as well. I had someone ask me about that earlier today, like, what about noise reduction and the AI filter and all that stuff? It's actually built into the AI filter as far as I know. So, because I've done this with several images where they've been absolutely black and use the AI filter and there's no discernible heavy noise like you would normally see. So it's pretty remarkable that it's kind of denoising.
Yeah, it's a great job to start with. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just to start with. And everything is double clickable, by the way. If you just saw I was zoomed in, if I double click here, it actually goes back to the default view, which is really nice. Again, time saver, really easy to operate. All right, so I'm just going to work on this image really quick and show you some cool things. We have the polarizing filter if we want to make those mountains stick out a little nicer. Kind of cuts through the haze just a little bit. I have another trick that I actually do with that I'm going to use a little later on, which is top and bottom lighting. But essentially just get the light where I want it. No heavy adjustments here, just little light ones, a little bit of contrast, that kind of stuff going on. Pretty simple. Maybe a little color temperature change. We have it as shot right now, but we can kind of, well, that was nice. That reset my settings. Don't want that. Give me those back. All right. So we'll just get it back to the way it was. So that's kind of an even start to go with, and actually pretty darn good just looking the way that it is. But now I would add my adjustment layer. This is where that comes in. And I can start adding my other filters. Now we've got some new filters that are pretty amazing that just got added, and I want to show those guys to you. Matte look is one of them. If you're into vintage photos, the matte look is killer. If you like a faded out kind of cool, filmy kind of look, this guy does it. And it has toning built in, which is really awesome. So I can now pull up the range and I can dial in grading tones right on this image. So I can find, maybe I like something with a little bit of purple going on, something that has that vintagey kind of tone. And I mean, I'm explaining it to you. Imagine how fast it is if I'm not explaining it. I'm just trying to find the look.
You're moving pretty fast.
Yeah, it's pretty quick and pretty easy to do. Here's a before, by the way, of this image, just to take you back to what it was when I loaded it, and an after, and we really didn't do that much to it. So that's the kind of the power of the software, I think, is absolutely amazing. Now, I did promise you that I was going to load a big file, so let's load the big file because it's of the same place, and I kind of want to really show you how fast and amazing this is, and we'll show you the other filters while we're doing it.
I know someone out there, if I can find their name, Gustav, sorry. He's already placed his order for Luminar. I need to go do that too, because what I like is how easy it will be to use as a Lightroom user. A lot of your same stuff is there. In addition, you have layers, which you don't have in Lightroom.
Right. And right now, I've not been using Photoshop at all.
I just add the digital asset management, and then bam, you got it.
Exactly, and that's kind of yes. Lori asks if it has a chromatic aberration removal. It absolutely does in both the raw develop and the regular develop software, both. So you get that in both of those, and it's also been added to Aurora HDR as well. So I want you to look at this file. You guys can see that. 564.1 megabytes. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I don't know if we have a timer on this. Just keep in mind, too, I'm streaming all of this from one computer to the other, so I'll make a little excuse for Luminar, but watch. Here we go. Drag, drop, and we'll see how long this takes to load a 0.5 gig file. Now, this is a pretty big panorama that I shot. Okay, it's done.
Wow, that was fast.
Yeah, and you notice that when it popped up, it's viewable. It's not like
all
fuzzy.
Pixelated. Yeah.
Right. You get the initial image, and then it's still loading it for another 10 seconds.
So now I'm zooming in. See how fast that is?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they have tuned this engine. It is awesome.
So let me ask you: how are they getting the speed because they're making use of the GPU, or why is this so much faster than Lightroom?
Well, it's a small team of developers and not a big, like, overgrown, bloated team of developers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, Mike. They obviously they draw upon the GPU, I think, because I know that Luminar and Aurora both do not work without a genuine GPU in your computer, because I tried to run it on a Hackintosh when I first got it, and both of these programs were like, we ain't working. And it wasn't any built-in protection. It was just because of the GPU. When I talked to the developer, he's like, yeah, you do need a GPU. Thanks, Greg. You were standing right next to me when I took it, man.
And Tim out in chat and Facebook says, is it loading a smart image? Like, in Lightroom where it doesn't really load the actual RAW at first, it might load the embedded JPEG or some other kind of smart image. Is it doing that, or is it actually loading the image?
Well, I loaded it. That was a TIFF file, by the way, 16-bit TIFF file. So I don't know. I'm sure there is a preview in the file. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care, because it's fast and it looks good, and I don't see any problems with it. So that's kind of like, that's where I'm at with this software. I've kind of changed. I used to get under the hood and want to know how everything was working. But nowadays it's like, if it works and it's good, I'm like, I don't care. It could have like 1,000 slave gerbils in there. I don't know what's going on.
And Rich,
I have no idea.
pre-ordered also. One more question about speed. So you're running this on a Mac.
Yep.
What? Give me some basic specs on the Mac so I can kind of judge on how that might run on my computer.
Yeah. So this is a MacBook Pro. Where's my cursor? Okay, come on, buddy. You can come back. I
saw it for a second.
Yeah, it's my. You're seeing it on the wrong screen though. That's funny. All right, hold on. It's I have a Synergy to go between screens. All right, well, fine. I also have another mouse, so fine. It's making me work. All right, I have a native mouse, so I'll just use that since it's going to be a problem. Maybe. There it is. Okay, got native mouse now. Can't stop me now. All right, so I'm just going to come up here and pull down the About This Mac so you can see the specs.
Okay,
so
there we go.
It's just a 15-inch Mac. I'm actually running this out on a big Dell screen, so it's actually sending this over to another screen. 2.6 gigahertz Core i7, 16 gigs of RAM. Running at the RAM is running at 2.133 gigahertz. So
DDR3. So I mean, this is not a.
Nope.
Well, it says it's 2016. So this is not a top of the line machine.
Right.
Yep. It's a decent machine, but not top of the line.
Right. It's got a 2 gigabyte graphics card in it, a Radeon Pro 450. Not all that great. Mac OS is not a heavy OS, man. It's it's a Linux based system, and so it's essentially pretty lightweight. It's interesting. I only have a 512 gigabyte hard drive in this. And I load these apps on, and they don't take half as much space as they do on Windows. It's kind of weird, but so that's basically what I'm running right now. So we got this in here. I loaded up my raw workspace that you guys saw before, and I'm just going to do some like little teeny adjustments. But I did want to do some lens adjustment here, and you can see there's some curvature to that background. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that curvature because I shot this on a. This was not a fisheye lens, but it was a wide angle lens. So I go ahead and do that 35 millimeter lens. And then I've got transform tools where I could change vertical, horizontal, all that kind of stuff. And of course, double click to send it back to 0. There's also X and Y offsets. So I can actually move the image back and forth if I want to reposition it after I'm done with my lens correction and all that kind of stuff. So it's got all that stuff built in. Here's your chromatic aberration fix. That's automatic with the develop, and then you can dial it in by moving the sliders. So if you have a lens that's creating orange or some weird color, you can actually dial that in. And of course the D-vignette, which is to take care of the edges, which has already been done on this image, so you don't really need to do it there.
On the D-vignette, is it lens aware? So like if I know. With Lightroom, sometimes it knows I'm shooting a 70-200 or what lens I'm using. Is there any lens aware or?
So we don't right now. The develop is manual, so there's no lens aware stuff. What I've been telling people is How many lenses do you own, Mike?
Not that many, really, maybe 8.
Put you on the spot. So if you have 8 lenses, you can actually save the raw develop workspace as each lens, and then just load it up, and it'll as a preset, and it'll automatically do it. That's kind of the workaround right now, and I think that's one of the things I really love with Luminar is that I haven't really found anything I can't work around. And I like the auto feature, but I will tell you in Lightroom, I've noticed that 9 times out of 10, auto gets you part of the way there, but I still have to go in and tweak it. And I don't know, I guess it's 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, that I'm either tweaking it one way or tweaking it the other way, whatever.
And while I have 8 lenses, there's probably 3 of them that are my, 90% of my shots are with.
Yeah, I'm going to show you something really interesting a little later on in the demo. So, wow, see what I just did there? I was talking and I deleted my develop, but luckily I have a history up here, and I can just go back and it'll bring that right back.
Can I ask you another question? Because we didn't stage this, so
Nope.
I may ask you questions that aren't like I just did that don't work. Does it have a content-aware fill or anything like that where I can clone stuff out?
Yeah, we do have an erase tool and a clone and stamp tool built in. I will tell you that they are okay, but they aren't top notch yet. And this is something that the team is working very hard on. And I've had a lot of different people say to me, well, why you got Snap Heal? Just keep in mind that the technology behind content aware fill and all this stuff is patented. So in order to get to that level, we have to develop it from scratch. There's no free code out there that's going to show us how it's done. You can't reverse engineer this stuff. So it is something that the team is working on. They know very well aware that people need and want that. Will it be out next year? Fingers crossed. That I would love to see the Snap Heal technology brought over into Luminar. That's one of their other products from the creative kit that they have, which is award-winning for its ability to remove people from photos, to just do all sorts of crazy, believable things. And you can use that plugin still as a plugin with Luminar, by the way. So you can, it is another purchase, of course, but until they get that implemented into the system, they have the basic tools here that work. They're not just press and go stuff. You got to work at them a little bit more than you're probably used to. So, but they are there for sure. Also, you can. I just did a little bit on this. I wanted to show you guys just quickly how this. When I was here, and Greg will attest to this. As the sun was going down, the sky got this brilliant, pinkish, orangish color. You got me still?
Yeah, you cut out just for a second, but you're back. You're back.
Okay, cool. We're pushing every cylinder as hard as we can over here. So I just I'm letting the AI filter kind of do its thing, and you can kind of see how the AI balances the light in the photo. If I move this back and forth, you can see the light kind of shift there.
Yeah.
And what it's doing is balancing the light, using its brain to figure out, the darker and lighter parts, and kind of shifting everything around. So I kind of play with that a little bit and get things the way I want to. I got the photo all straightened out, though. That came out nice. And pretty much from this point, you can dehaze if you want to really bring out the mountains. And now, if I don't want that dehaze, now it does a pretty good job of figuring out what the sky is and stays off that foreground, as you can see, pretty good. So the dehaze is working there. Otherwise, I would probably mask it in. Or what you're probably used to doing is masking in clarity and using clarity, because, that's kind of the old way of doing this stuff. But now the dehaze is a smart filter, and it can figure out exactly where that's at. One of the other features, I'm not sure if we talked about this before, Mike, is that we have this neat vignette thingy that we can do. And one of the things that we have that we're kind of proud of is that we can place the center of the vignette anywhere on the photo we want.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And we can do this multiple times. So we can load this filter several times and put lights around the photo wherever we want to. So that's kind of cool that you can actually that you have that ability to control how bright that center is and where it's at. And you can do it post-crop or pre-crop, which is pretty cool. And then if I completely screw it up, there's a drop-down here that allows me to just reset the filter. I can delete the filter altogether. I can change the blending mode on each filter separately, which is crazy. Yeah, so if I want to just turn this into something really weird, like subtract, right? And I really want to get crazy with it, I can do that. Or I can put it on normal, which is not less eye burning. I can also create a luminosity mask, or I can create a fill mask with it and just put the vignette only where that. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you have the ability to do that as well, which is pretty crazy. Right now, I'm just going to reset it because I'm going to add another adjustment layer. Now, if you notice when I hit that plus, there's a bunch of things up there that you can do. There's a new image layer where I can load in a whole new image. I can stretch it. I can add things to the sky. I can overlay it. I can change the blending modes just like in Photoshop. I have pretty much full control of an image if I load it in. So if I like a texture I want to load over the top, I can do that. It'll allow me to stretch it over the whole image. Now, we have a filter that does it much easier and it's more automatic, but you can do it manually as well. If you check out Nicole Young's work, she does some stuff where she masks people's silhouettes with like landscapes that look amazing. And she does it all in Luminar. And so she does masking like beyond all of us, which is pretty cool. We also have add a new image layer, which we can take the original image and we can add it in again if we want to use parts of the original image in the new processed image. We can actually bring that in. I don't want to do that right now because that would up this image to a gig. And I have no idea what that would do, so I'm not going to do that. And we can also create a new stamped layer, which is, I think that stamped means we can stamp a section of the photo and create a layer out of just that section of the photo and move it around or place it and position it, change it. And I think a lot of guys use that for like the content aware stuff. And I'm not familiar with it yet because I don't do a lot of that. So I just haven't played with it yet to give you guys an idea. But I wanted to show you the power of how well this works with a large file. Because people ask me, they're like, oh, that's a JPEG, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yep, that's a JPEG. But it will handle large files too. And here we are adding another layer. Another great filter, the golden hour, one click, and it really makes the sun pop and gives me that sky that I remember while I was there. Yeah. So that's more of the image that I remember. So let's check out another cool feature. I need to close this image though, because like I said, it's huge, humongous. Yeah. Oh, let me talk.
Any questions as we go along from out there in chat?
Yeah.
I'll type in your questions. Yeah.
So here's the other thing that Luminar allows you to do. I had a question about this today, so I might as well tell you guys as well. It has the ability to save this as a Luminar file, which is very similar to a PSD file in that it will save your history, it will save your actual file itself.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
And it will save your layers unsquashed. So if you're done with your photo, you can export it. And I'll export this and then I'll send it to you guys so you can see it for the real photo as it's finished. But you can also save. Somebody asked me about this. If I hit save right here, it's going to try to save it as what we call a Luminar file. And if you notice, it says the document size is 1.5 megabytes.
Super tiny.
And the reason for that is that it's saving just the sidecar file.
Okay.
So the Luminar file is actually a movable file that you could put out on the cloud with your edit in it. And you could load that file, and then I believe it will allow you to point to a local file that is the actual photo itself. So it doesn't save it with the photo. It just saves just the sidecar by itself, which I think is a really cool feature. If I click this button, though, now it jumps up to
it's the full file.
565, which is everything. And I can also choose to trim it down by not saving my history if I don't want to, and so on. And it just went into super slow-mo because all right, there we go. All right, so yeah, I just wanted to show that to you guys. So you have the export function, which is over here. And of course we can export on the Mac stuff, we can export to messages, we can export to mail. Email is on your Windows version. As well as, I'm not sure might be Skype on the messages board side of it, but Twitter, Facebook, Flickr, SmugMug, and 500px. You can send them directly from the program right out to there, and you can tell it the size and everything you want to send it as. We also have Open In, which you can open in any of the other programs that you currently have on your computer. So it allows you to do that as well.
To Aurora, yeah.
Yeah, out to Aurora, Tonality, all the stuff from the Creative Kit. aperture if you have that, whatnot. And then you also can crop and send it to your Facebook cover, which I think is pretty cool. Or you can just export the image. And then we support right now currently JPEG, PNG, GIF, GIF, whatever you want to call it, TIFF. GIF, if you're one of the guys from Geek and Sundry, JPEG 2000, which is, I've never saved anything as a JPEG 2000.
Other by.
Yeah, and then Photoshop, obviously a PSD or a PDF, which is pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
And then you have your basic color spaces, RGB, Pro Photo, which I use, in sRGB if you're doing screen stuff or sharing on the web. You can sharpen, no sharpen. You can change your size from original, long edge, or just straight up dimensions if you want, and then obviously quality. And if you select something else like TIFF, you get the other options that go along with TIFF, like 16-bit and so on. It's pretty much the same that you find in pretty much any software program. So that's kind of just the ins and outs. But I didn't show you one of the most important ins and outs that's going to blow your mind. I just discovered this the other day. In fact, I did it in front of my boss, and he was like, "Man, I knew you'd find that and show it to somebody." And I said, "That's right. And I think it's really cool." So check this out. You guys are going to love this. The guys who watched the Facebook this afternoon have seen this already. They're kind of ahead of the curve a little bit, but I'm going to show you guys. So let's see what we got here. Let's load in the matte look thing, because I got a couple of, you'll recognize one of these photos. So we'll just drag and drop this on Luminar. We'll load it up.
Thanks, Gustav. He's heading out.
All right. Thank you, Gustav, for hanging out, man. Very cool. So here's just a basic image that I have loaded in. And suppose I'm just disgusted with Luminar. I hate it. Okay. Guys can take that and make it into a little meme if you want to there. So if I'm really disgusted with the program, I can come up here, and we've got this new bar called plugins.
Yeah.
And if you drop it down, you'll see that it contains Aurora and Noiseless and all that stuff, and a new entry called Choose Plugin.
Okay.
And what that allows me to do is click on that. It opens up my window for my computer. I'm going to go to Applications, and I'm going to zip on over to Photoshop, and then into the plugins of Photoshop, then into Google, and then into Color Effects Pro. And I'm stealing Color Effects Pro from Adobe, just like that.
Wow.
And now you saw how fast that is. It's loading into Color Effects Pro. I can go ahead and use all the stuff in Color Effects Pro and then hit OK, and it does its thing. And then boom, it comes back into Luminar that fast.
Cool. That is beautiful.
And it comes back in as a layer. So if I don't like all of that, if it's too much, I can say, okay, let's peel it back a little bit. Don't like so much of that. And I have layer control.
That is cool.
That is really cool. So you can make use of plugins you already have.
Absolutely. All of them, by the way. If they're supported in Photoshop, I'm pretty sure they'll load up. I haven't tested all of them, but I've tested a lot of them. I know all of the Nick stuff loads right up in Luminar, just like it's native. Very cool. And then once you've loaded it once, it stays in the recent. So you don't ever have to search it up again. It's automatically there. Just another time saver that these guys do to make my workflow like way easier to deal with.
So like you mentioned before, one of the things that would be holding me back is the digital asset management. Can you because you've only been working on one photo at a time, right? So there's no culling or anything like that I can do quite yet, right?
Not yet. Nope.
So because I think once that's added, that is, I mean, it already is a great, oh, look at that. That's cool.
Keep going, Mike.
Yeah. I'm just saying
how
that
you can talk while I'm doing this.
I'm just saying it has almost everything I would want except for that part, the digital asset management. Because for me, as when I don't shoot a whole lot of landscape, I'm trying to do more. I shoot mainly sports, so I got a ton of photos that I come back with and have to cull through them. Then there's some photos. Oh, that's cool too. Where I want to spend some time on it.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
My boss liked that one. My boss liked that one a lot when I did that for the first time. So yeah,
that is cool.
Yeah, the digital asset management, that's the mask that I just drew. The digital asset management is really like, it's the big thing, and it is free. If you purchase Luminar now, 2018, on the pre-order, it is going to be the Luminar 2018 is released on November 16th. So you get an email and you can download it and you'll have your key and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Digital Asset Manager will not be in there yet.
Right.
Not yet. But you can still use Luminar as a plugin for Lightroom. So you can still do that. And those folks that want to strip, I don't think they can strip their photography plan back to anything less than the $10 a month right now. But, I was thinking, you could dump Photoshop because you probably wouldn't need it once you have this. But I would suggest, the dam is supposed to be out sometime in 2018. We don't have a date. I have some pictures on the website of some kind of teaser images, but there's nothing. They won't talk about it. All they're said is that when it comes out, we want it to blow your mind, and we want there to be no question that you're going to want to use this instead of the other guys.
Yeah, and today, the stuff you showed us is just awesome, and many things. I haven't seen anything that Lightroom can do it can't, other than the digital asset management. But I have seen things it can do that Lightroom can't. So I've seen the other way, and you and I, AD, and I'm sure everybody out here listening has run into people, or maybe you're one of them, who doesn't want to pay that every month fee.
Yep.
And you are not happy that you can't continue with Lightroom without paying every month fee. So this is a great option to do something like that. We've run into people in the beginners group, AD, who don't own it for that specific reason. So this is a great product. And we hadn't talked about the price. I got the website pulled up right here. I'm going to pull it up just for a second while you're doing that.
Do that up.
So this is the site. I think I've had the link up before, but I bring it again. It's just macfun.com/Luminar. Let's see. I don't have
now on the pre-order. I'm not sure about this too, Mike.
Yeah.
On the pre-order, I do have a coupon code for $10 off. I don't know if it works on the pre-order, but you guys are more than welcome to try it. If you use the coupon code EXPLORE.
Explore. Okay.
Yep. I don't know if it's going to work for this or not. A lot of times when they introduce a brand new version, our codes will only work for the older stuff until we request a new code. So I'm not sure, but you're more than welcome to try it if you do.
Would that work on upgrades as well, or just?
I think it's just on the purchase of the program. Yeah.
I feel better because I already upgraded.
All right. Okay.
and there's the link for that site that we got pulled up right now. macfun.com/Luminar.
Yep.
All right. There you go. So that's not a bad price. $60, $59 plus the pack of bonuses. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so there's some training videos. There's some premium presets that you get along with it. There's a lot of stuff that comes along with it. And making your own presets is super easy in this program as well. I've made a set already called Analog Effects that are available for 2018, and I have them in here. I can show you what that's about. I'll load up my boss's image one more time really quick, but they give you a bunch of premium presets. I think Trey's has some presets available. I'm really not positive. There is a thing that tells you what all the bonus stuff is when you if you pre-order. These are my effects here. And these are just old film effects. So basically I did like some, I like the low-mo tension kind of stuff with some texture overlays, all that kind of thing going on. We have some Ilford film stuff here that looks more like a film, tintype, with, and you can go in and recontrol these. You can actually change like how the textures are. You can turn the textures off if you're not a texture person. You can control how much of this filter. If you add this filter, let me show you. Let me clear that out real quick. I'm going to add an adjustment layer. If you add an adjustment layer, this is one of the bugs in the program right now that's going to be squashed for the final, which is if I add, normally you can just put a preset anywhere you want, like that. And if I change the opacity down here, the amount of the preset, if I do that on the base layer, it'll just gray the photo out. And that's something that they know about and they're fixing for the final release. So I just put it on an adjustment layer. But when you get it, you'll just load up a preset and then you can dial in how much of that preset you want. And I think when I showed you on Luminar 2017, when I demoed that for you guys, I did actually show you that feature.
Right.
But it's kind of nice to be able to just say, oh, I don't want as much of that preset as the person who created it made. So, I've got this, and oh yeah, that's cool, but maybe I don't want that much on the image. I can dial it back, or basically make it the way I want it to look without having to mess with a bunch of controls. I can just add a couple controls and make the change there with the slider on the preset. I think that's original to us as well, having the adjustable preset levels where it adjusts the whole level of everything that's being done.
Yeah, because you're like you said, I may not want all that strength that you put on there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And out of all of the companies that release presets, I've found the most usable from this company. They really do have a nice quality set of stuff that really makes some images pop, right out of the box without doing a whole lot. One of the things I showed this afternoon, I want to show you guys, because I know, Mike, this is important to you. Yep. So this was a feature I think you asked about, and I wanted to show it off today. So if I I'm going to open up an image. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way by actually using a menu and opening something. I'm not used to doing that anymore. So I'm going to go to my desktop, and I've got this thing called Batch Demo, and I'm going to load a file up. I'm going to load just one file. All right, so I shoot these weird places all the time, and I do stories on my website. That's kind of what I'm known for. And what I like to do is essentially have a style to my photos for the entire shoot, because that kind of sets a mood. I don't like to process each photo and have them wildly different. Now, there might be little differences and tweaks and things like that, but I really like to have a base start for my whole set of photos, and then I'll go through and crop or dodge and burn or whatever where I want to.
Right.
That's one of the new things we added, by the way, was dodge and burning. And without doing a layer mask or anything, it's just paint, dodge, paint, burn right on the photo. So I'll show you that in a minute, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. So I basically, earlier today, I made a preset for this photo called Forevertron, which is the name of the place. So I really wanted to have kind of like a vintagey kind of Instamatic film look for this place, because it was built in the 80s. It was just it's kind of got a flavor to it, right? But I have 400 photos from this place. So what I did is I got one photo the way I wanted, exactly the way I wanted, and I saved it as a preset. Now, if I go to the open and then batch processing, I can browse to that photo with all of the photos in it. Now, I could click 75 photos if I want to here. Doesn't matter. All right, I'm going to open them all up. It's going to show me a preview of each one. You can see they're all kind of different.
Yep.
Right now, kind of all over the place. I'm going to include subfolders, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select my preset from the users. I can select any preset that I currently have, but I'm in the user and the Forevertron, so I'm selecting that one's the one I created. I'm going to save it now to this folder, which I already have them saved to, but I'm going to overwrite them. It might take a little longer since I'm overwriting. Let me just pop out there real quick and delete those out. So, oops, I can't. Well, we'll just wait for it to do its thing. So you set all your basic stuff here that you normally would. I've got it shrinking the photos down a little bit on the save because I'm going to put them on the web, sRGB. And then under the advanced tab, we have how much I want to sharpen them, and I just do a low sharpening. I normally don't even sharpen my photos anymore. So just do a low sharpening on them. Going to go ahead and hit continue, and right before your eyes, you're actually going to see your photos being processed with that filter set.
I like how it steps into it.
Right, and it's writing it right now. It's writing these files off to my hard drive, and it's almost like
that was fast.
There, it's done. And it's almost, so just so you guys are aware, those JPEGs were 4,000 pixels long edge, so they weren't small. And then it shrunk them and did the filtering and everything all together. So that's kind of what was going on there. And then I have the batched bunch, which is right here, nice and loaded up so I can see them. And here they are with the fully processed.
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm ready to go. So you can imagine, Mike, if you're doing an event, man, and you need to process, a whole football game, turning that accent AI filter on say 50%, so it doesn't overdo it, doesn't underdo it, and then your first pass is bam, 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 out to DNG files, and it's like having your own retoucher, just basically going through. A big time saver and pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So you saw
you
the
sold
Sunrays.
me on it. So you've sold several tonight. You sold me for sure.
Well, I'm not super into doing the selling thing about it. I'm really enthused about the product myself, and what it can do. I know you guys were checking the Sunrays thing there when I was doing it. Do you have a couple of my images? This is from Maroon Bell. Did that load, or did I drop it into my Windows installation? That's probably loaded. Oh, there it is. I'm still there. That's why I wouldn't do anything. There we go. It was waiting for me. So this is Maroon Bell. Lou and I were up there shooting in 2013, and we got this beautiful scene. It was like 26 degrees, and I had shorts on, which is there's a
26 degrees. You had shorts on.
So here's why. I'll tell you why. Literally 7 hours before this, we were in the desert in Nevada, and we drove all the way to Colorado nonstop and got to this mountain, and it was 26 degrees.
Oh my!
I still had my clothes on from the desert, so.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
it's good that you had your clothes on.
Right. Yeah, well, it was pretty. This mountain is 12,500 feet elevation, so it's a little tough to deal with up there. But the Accent AI filter again.
Did a good job to start with. Yeah.
I mean, just hello, getting in there, doing the job, and then for this one, the sun rays are real nice to put in there. What did we show you? We got LUT mapping. This is I'll show you the LUT mapping thing too. So
not sure that's where the sun was, but that's
so we don't want the sun there. Usually, what I like to do is not add any rays that aren't there, but I like to accentuate the rays that are there. So we had a sun at about right there, and you can control how much of this sun reacts with the sun around it, or the dark spots around the image by the penetration, and you can control the warmth and the radius of the actual sun itself. There's actually a sun in there, so you can control that, and obviously the number of rays that pop out. I usually like to go with just a few and keep it very natural looking. And then what you guys saw me do before was I actually masked the rays only where I wanted to see them. Now we could do a radio mask, a luminosity mask, or a brush. And I just like to brush them in. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to brush in some accent lighting that kind of makes that sun that was here just a little bolder. I mean, not a lot. I don't want to overdo it, but I do want to have.
Otherwise, it looks fake. Otherwise,
right. Yeah, and we're in the image that I had of the girl, that was cool because it's a make believe image, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of adding a little bit of magic to that, but I think it's amazing how fast this image just can, boost that up a little bit, give me a little bit of extra, got them rays coming out a little bit more now, and kind of gives me more of that feeling like when I was there and enjoying the freezing cold with Lou. And Lou walked, God bless him, Lou walked all the way down at the other end down here, and I think he saw a bear. I think he saw a bear or something. He ran back, but he walked all the way down there. I was freezing and out of breath the entire time because we were up in the middle of nowhere. But
now, you showed before, where you had masked with the red. How did you do that?
So the mask has a bunch of things you can do. We can control the feather of the mask, and after the effect, by the way, this is pretty cool. So if you watch, I'm going to turn the mask on with a little eyeball.
There you go. That's what
So you can see where the mask is, but watch. I can actually feather this mask now that it's in there. I believe this is what they allow me to do.
Yeah, there.
And I can kind of make my work a lot,
so it's
smoother,
not so hard.
Right, and then I can also control the density of it as well. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff, man. And then we turn it off and we can see, how that blends in and works really well in the image. And I didn't do that much to it. I mean, I just kind of gave it a little.
No, you started with just the AI.
Yep. So, any questions at all from the folks out there? I'm kind of watching back and forth. I see Lou said fun times. Yeah, man, it was a good time. We got chased. That was I think we talked about this on the show, actually. We got chased by an old coot with a 45 Colt.
I do not remember that.
Chased us out of a cave. He fired a couple shots into the ground and chased us out of a cave we were in. And we got run off Indian land.
Dang, cowboys and Indians chasing you all over the place.
We got trouble, man. We got trouble. That was a good story, though. We made it out alive, so it was good.
You know, those caves, you may have been mining in there, and you don't want to share your mining rights.
Right, exactly. Images like this one here. I showed this the other day. We talked about some of the presets. I'll show you a cool look if I can get this to load up. I think it'll load now that I'm not doing batching anymore. So this is an image from the asylum that we visited that we're going back to. And this table's just set up in this abandoned, and there's a checkers thing on here. I kind of saw the light coming through the window, but I couldn't get the rays to pop out. Here's a place where I could use the rays to, add those back in at this point, and get that look if I want to. So I want to show you just that real quick.
Yeah, I want to see this.
So we'll just put this way over yonder, and then we'll drag this. And you'll notice when I start to drag this, I can actually drag this. These are rendered in real time, by the way. I can drag this right off the screen.
It looks like it's coming through the glass as you do that.
Yeah. So it's not perfect. We'll put up there. You notice it's coming off the top here a little bit. But if I change the number of rays, I can kind of move my rays around a little bit. So I can get the light just about right, almost perfect. You notice it's coming over the top of the thing here. So this is where the masking comes in.
Right.
And the nice thing about Luminar is it's a smart masking program. So before you saw me click on it, oops, I didn't want to do that. Click on it. Oh, all right, cool. I learned something new right there, that I can just change my mind. So you saw me start to paint in the light rays before, but this time I kind of I don't want to paint all that in. I want to do the quick and easy. I just want to paint the part out.
Paint out, yeah.
Right. So if I hit erase, if I start painting right now with erase, it automatically inverts the mask for me instead of like me having to invert a mask and then start erasing, which you have to do in Photoshop. So I'm just going to start. You can see I painted them out just like that.
Yeah,
and now I've got
rays.
I've got my rays coming through the window the way I want it. And then I'm going to add an adjustment layer because I got a really cool look that I liked for this image. And it's over here in portrait of all places. It's called Noble Beauty. I really just dig that look.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Isn't that nice?
Look at
that's
that.
just, yeah. And so that just, how long did it take me to go from,
if you weren't talking, that might have been like less than a minute.
Right. So we went from this to this. Now I might bump up, the shadows a little bit here, but it's kind of moody and I kind of like it the way it is. But that's the thing about Luminar, man, is that I just come up with all these new looks and ideas just by playing around. Stuff I never would have thought of before. I never would have thought to try this is a portrait preset. And I'm just like, wow, that really gives it a look. Maybe it's too much. Maybe I pull it back a little bit. I can bring some of the color back in if I want, but I kind of like the kind of that toned black and white. Looks really awesome.
Yeah.
So anyways, guys, I think that's going to wrap
awesome.
it for the demo. I think you guys got a pretty good idea. Let me share my screen here, Mike. So and maybe at some point in time, if people, there we go. If people have questions about Aurora, we can do something on Aurora. It's pretty self-explanatory. I think Aurora is a really good HDR program. Windows has still got a ways to go, even though it's released. I think that they're fine-tuning the windows. They're looking for feedback. I keep telling everybody.
On Aurora, you mean? So the Aurora version?
Okay. Well, they're always looking for feedback. The one great thing, if you go to the MacFun Facebook page, which is their corporate page, the name of their MacFun page, their URL is MacFun Family, because they're really about all of us photographers being a big family. And so they want to hear what we want. They want to hear that. Now, they're not going to do every request. They couldn't do every request. They can't make everybody happy. But squeaky wheel gets the grease, man. So you get enough people looking for a feature, like one of the things is a lot of people want edge-aware masking,
Yeah.
which you can do with this program with luminosity masks. A lot of people don't really make enough use of luminosity masks, which can figure out the edges and do that. I'm just starting to play with them. I don't feel comfortable demoing them for everybody, but what people want are like the masking bug, out of what is it, Nick or DxO or whatever they're called nowadays. Nick, Google. The reason they want that. The reason why we did the plugins is so you can use that feature now. You can just throw it in Nick software and use what you're used to for now, and at least bring it back in and then paint it back into the image or however you want to do it. But I think that that's high on the list. I heard a lot of the pro photographers going, give us edge-aware masking. And while that's an easy thing to say, it is also another very patented thing.
Sure.
The masking bug is patented technology. The edge-aware, content-aware stuff in Photoshop is patented. I mean, this stuff just doesn't,
Well, I got to imagine Lightroom Adobe is patented as many of their advances as they can to protect, to stop other people from doing it.
Right.
Yeah, which means you basically, as a developer, you have to start. You have the idea, that it's out there, but you got to start from scratch because you can't use their code to design your own.
Right. And I tell everybody who's like, I see a lot of people come over to the Skyloom, which is what we're called now, the Skyloom photography group, and they'll post support questions. They'll be like, well, why does it do this? And don't ask there, man. That's just for posting your photos. Post all your photos there. We want to see as many photos and inspiration as we can. But they really want that moved over to the Skyloom support page on Facebook, because that's where the pros and the tech guys are all listening and paying attention. I'm in there every day answering people's questions as much as I can. The tech people are there 24/7 answering questions. And they're not machines. They're not like, get a ticket. They're in there going, let's find out what your problem is. Let's fix it. Is it not loading? Let's figure it out and get it loaded for you. Is your plugins. The one I got all week last week is I got Photoshop 2018 and Lightroom Classic 2018 and Luminar and Aurora don't load anymore. And I'm like, okay, go into Luminar, press the install plugins, press uninstall, and then press install. It's really quick. It takes 1 second, and boom, you got your plugins right back. Yeah. It's because Lightroom, and when they install, they just disregard what you have using for your job, So yeah, they do it all the time, right? Yeah. So I've just gotten used to fixing all that stuff on the fly. But yeah, if you have feature requests, post them over at Skyloom support on the Facebook page. If you have problems, something's not working for you, chances are you're going to get a tech who's going to say, hey, send me your images or show me what's happening so that we can take a look at it, or show me what you want to see in the program. Like, do you want, better content aware fill, or do you want edge detection in our masking? We need to hear you. So in Skyloom support is where you do that. And
I love that about it. Companies like this who are looking and for feedback from their users and are listening to the users and then actually doing it. Now, like you said, you can't do everything, but if you have 1,000 requests, you're looking at what is the most popular. Let me start from there. And I'm sure there's some gauge on not only what's most popular, but level of effort too. So if maybe the third most popular is the easiest to do, let's just whip that out. I'm sure some of those things are going on too. But
within reason, some of the stuff. Some of the stuff we have to be careful with, like we have a small group of people that are in the core group of Skyloom. And then, we have a very small group. There's a lot of affiliates, but there's a small group of professionals that are subcontracted. So like I'm one, Jim Nix is another one. Lori Rubin works for the company. She used to be also subcontracted. And so you basically you have us guys that are kind of like working professionals who use this software and can really say, hey, man, this is interrupting my workflow. Or if I see someone else having a problem, sometimes it's just they're not sure like how it works or if it's been moved. I've seen a lot of things where folks weren't sure, One of the things I didn't show you was the LUT mapping. And you being a video guy, Mike, you probably know what LUT mapping is. It's lookup tables. And it's basically a table of color, that you can apply to a photo. Well, I have a video that I just released this week that shows you how to export all of your presets that you might have in Lightroom that you use all the time, turn them into cube files, and then you can load them in Luminar, and it copies the look right over from Lightroom right into Luminar.
Cool. That's cool.
Without anything, it just copies it over. Boom, you have that preset look. So it's pretty cool.
Very good, very good. So I'm putting a link up there again for anybody who wants. While you were demoing earlier, I also looked at the Aurora page because, I do some HDR, and I've for the longest time been using Photomatics, but I don't think I've upgraded in a while. So
Me too.
It's time for me to look at that. Now, you did say that they have a Windows version of Aurora?
Yeah, so all products except for the old CK products, so the old Creative Kit products, Tonality, Intensify, that stuff, that won't be up. That stuff will not be available on the Windows platform. That's not being converted over. The two main products going forward are Luminar and Aurora. All of the CK products are their workability and their abilities, that what they can do, are being built into Luminar. The overall goal is that Luminar will be all of those things in one place for you instead of separate pieces and plugins. And so that's kind of what they've been wanting to do, is unify. We want to have 4 products. We want to have 2 for the PC and 2 for the Mac, and it's going to be Luminar and Aurora for each. So
very good, very good. Well, AD, thanks for coming out. We went a little long. I'm sorry. I always seem to keep you too long.
No,
but you're on a great roll there. So I love seeing that, and you got me excited about it. I wanted to know when it was going to come out in pre-order. It is out there now, and I'm excited to go out and purchase it.
Hey, can I plug my show?
Absolutely. Yes.
I actually have a show, and thanks to Mike, I know how to run it, because it was.
I'm sure you've gone beyond me.
I use his technology to make everything work. But I have a Facebook show over on the MacFun Facebook page. So it's facebook.com/MacFunFamily. And it's going to be on Thursday night. We're doing a special show with 2 folks. I want to get this right. I'm going to get it wrong. I think it's Kevin and Lisa. They ride all over the world on motorcycles together. It's To Ride the World, I think it's called. I'll get you the link and all that stuff, but it's Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have these guys on and talk to them about their adventures all over the world. I think you guys are we're going to talk about Luminar, of course, as usual. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. But just the fact to get to talk to these people about their adventures. They've been everywhere on their motorcycles, and I mean overseas. They've been through Africa. They've been everywhere on 2 motorcycles.
And so that's Thursday. You said that's Thursday night?
Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time on the Facebook Live. We do MacFun Live or Skyloom Live, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be on the MacFun Facebook page, though. It'll just appear live on there.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get that link here. Hold on a second.
I usually share it on my Facebook page, too, just like we do this show around. So, yeah, and it'll be available. If you miss it, it's, just like these are available afterwards. So you can watch it afterwards, but hopefully people will show up live. Yeah.
Thursday night. I'll try and make it. Yes, that sounds interesting.
Cool, man.
All right. And as far as also for AD, you have your own best place to follow you is probably Facebook, but you also have, I'm about to show the wrong website again, but I got to fix that.
I have a highly neglected website right now.
There we go. We have the Explorographer.com.
Ooh, there was an image from the Forevertron back there.
Yeah, I don't know how to control them, but
and there's Greg Crosdale right there.
That's Greg. He's out in chat. Yep. So this is AD's website right here, and then of course you have the creators.com over on Patreon, where you can get special content from AD over there.
Yeah, you can learn how to be your own podcaster. We're basically helping photographers develop monetization. So if you want to learn like how to become an affiliate, or you want to learn how to make YouTube videos, or sell photos at an art festival, whatever it is, I've probably been down the road, or some of the creators that are in there have been down the road. So it's a cool community that you can be a part of. I'm also doing a stupid little audio podcast about photography, fun stuff that I complain about companies and their stupidity, which is audio only, by the way. But I don't know how long that'll go on, how long people will put up with me. But yeah, that's fun too.
And that's it. I think I've had that link below, but there, patreon.com/thecreators.
Yes.
And AD's site is here.
The Explodographer.
I got some strange things happening here. So let's see if this works.
You got some slow PC working stuff. I bet you your Windows 10 is updating in the background.
I don't know what's going on, but like, there we go. Whoops. We'll bring that back up. I got Google Docs constantly, every time I go to paste, logging me out of Google Docs. What is happening there? That is not right. All right. With that, we probably should start to head out here. And the stream says it's having issues. All right. Well, yeah, there's a good time to head out. Guys, thank you for hanging out with us in live chat. We'll have AD and I have another show coming up. We have to set a time, but the photo review show for October images. Yes, we have that coming up soon. And we're going to
try a new format.
We're going to try a new format that won't be 2.5 hours.
Nope.
It'll be a quicker format. So be looking out for that. We'll post it on the Facebook page and everywhere else. And the contest, I'll be doing that probably tomorrow night. Tonight, after we get done here, I got some work to do. But until next show, keep it raw. Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.